I want to ask you today about. I was looking at numbers. The last 12 games you've played have not been up to your usual standards, and I know you've been battling injuries, and teams are being more aggressive with the way they're playing you, especially in the pick and roll. And I'm wondering if the last game against Boston was a signal that you guys are changing up to try to help you get this kind of shots you used to get, or how you feeling about all that.
I mean, I think it's obvious. I don't think it's that I'm not performing how I usually perform. I think it's just that teams have committed to just taking away opportunities. I mean, against the Clippers, you see them face guarding me from the tip, even on the inbound pass, 94 feet. They face guarding, they denying. They running two guys at me, blitzing. And for me, the proper play is to be willing to give the ball up or try to go off the ball and play off the ball. And I mean, our philosophy has been that when I get it out, we gotta make teams pay on a level to where they don't feel comfortable continuing to do it. And I mean, obviously, it's frustrating. I've tried to figure out ways to combat that by not just allowing them to take me out and saying, all right, I'm gonna give it up all the time, and and they never loosen up, and we get to the end of the game, and I, like for example against Miami, I was 3 for 10, so it wasn't much opportunity for me to do what I usually do. Um, so I mean that's it. I think if that wasn't teams' focus coming into all these games, it wouldn't look that way. But I mean that's what the game plan is, and I'm just trying to play the right way and do what I can. But I mean that on top of nobody's feeling 100% at this point. Just nagging things. But I think last game Boston didn't really defend me that way, and it looked different. So I think it's the way that I'm being defended more than anything. They literally just selling out, and that's that.
Aaron Fentress, the Oregonian.
Hey Damian, I saw you posted something on Instagram about Aldridge retiring. I want to ask you just what that impacted you at all, or what you think about that. And then also you had a hashtag, what could have been, along with like a 10 photos or something like that.
Yeah.
What did you mean by that?
I mean, if we remain teammates, LA is one of the greatest players to play in Portland. He was at the peak of his career when I got here. He was at his best. Um, and I was a two-time All-Star. As his teammate, my second and third year. And with my development, had he stayed, CJ's development, who knows what that could have turned into. But I mean, I feel like I said, he's one of the greatest players to play here. His jersey should be retired here, and it's just sad that he couldn't go out on his own terms. The fact that something related to his health, which is the most important thing. Basically took him out of the game instead of him deciding when he wanted to stop. But he has, two beautiful sons, and me having kids now, I know how important that is to, be around and watch them grow, and to be a part of raising them and loving them as a parent. That comes first. So, I thought, when I told him, I feel like he made the right decision.
Thanks.
Orlando Sanchez, KGW.
Hey Dan, similar question about LaMarcus and his legacy here in Portland, and what comes to mind when you think about him? All the times you guys had together, we're starting to see a lot of the highlights, that buzzer beater he had, and stuff like that. So I'm wondering, as a friend and as a former teammate, what comes to mind with him?
Just our time together. I think back to how my first time being in the All-Star game, and going to New Orleans, and how as a young player sometimes it could be uncomfortable because you're in a room full of stars that you grew up watching, and you never been there before. So going into something like that with a teammate, and with him coming in the NBA and knowing like I'm about to team up with LaMarcus Aldridge, I'm gonna play point guard, and we got LaMarcus Aldridge was pretty cool, and I always think back to that time. you know, when I came in and I was like, I just want to be the best compliment to him. You know, let him know he has like a real running mate in me. Like I'm be ready to go when it's good, when it's bad, whatever. And we had some good times, man. You know, I think he was at a point in his career where, you know, I was still kind of young. We had just lost in the playoffs, and you know, he wanted more. You know, he wanted something different. But we had some great times.
Casey Holdall, Trailblazers.com.
Damian, kind of switching gears a little bit. There's been talk this past week about the play-in. Now that we're obviously getting closer to it, you guys are in 6th right now. Obviously, 7-8 end up in that play-in. Your thoughts on the play-in, particularly after having played in it in Florida and the changes to it, and just your thoughts on that process and potentially being in that play-in or trying to avoid the play-in.
I mean, I think you try to avoid it because, you know, it's one game. You know, you never know. You can have a bad 2-game stretch. We've shown that we can have a bad 2-game stretch, and you could be done. You know, so I mean, obviously, you don't want to put yourself in that position because the teams that are on the outside looking in, trying to get one of those spots, are all capable teams. So you have to consider that. But for me, I know that it was a big hit in the bubble. You know, fans were really interested in that. You know, it was a nice tweak, a different thing in a different season. And I think they brought it back this season because of that. So I understand why people would complain about it. You work your ass off for a whole season to get one of the top 8 spots, and then you can, you know, in 2 days, you can be all that work and be out the door to a team that wasn't in the top 8. I understand it, but I also understand like the entertainment side of it. You know, the competitive side of it. I understand it. I understand both sides. But as a player, you're trying to shoot for a top 6 at this point. It's like basically the top 6 is the playoffs now, and then after that it's like a tournament to get in for those last couple spots, like the NCAA tournament, the first round is 68 teams, and then you get to 64 teams. You know, that's pretty much what it is. So.